Welcome back, guys. Today I am fixing the transmission. Then the next morning it wouldn't shift at all, just stuck in one gear. You could put it in gear, reverse, drive, neutral, but it just wouldn't shift when you accelerate. So we ordered transmission fluid, filter, and new shift solenoids. We also had it towed for free from AAA to a shop, and they quoted us $7,000 for used transmission because they said this one's not fixable. So this is a 5-liter V8, 2005 Mercedes Benz CLK500. It's got a light pink custom color on there. And then the first step is to jack your car up, find level ground, jack your car up on all fours, and it has to be flat, it has to be even, because you have to refill the transmission fluid at the right level. So I'll show you what I did to get the car level. So I've been out here. I don't have a jack, like an actual jack. So I just used one of the hand crank scissor jacks. So if you look at the car, if you look at it, it's pretty level. Jacked up on all fours, we got it secured, made sure everything's tight, everything's secure. I'll be safe under the car. And now I'm going to disconnect the battery right here. Disconnect the battery. Looks like 10 millimeter, maybe 8, probably 10. Disconnect the battery, and then I'll get my tools and get under the car. Okay, once you have your car jacked up, I have 2 on this side just in case. Here is your pan right here, okay? Here's your pan. You are going to remove these couple 8 millimeter screws. Looks like we got, missing one on this side. Looks like we got 3, 4, we're missing 2. So you should have 6, but we only have 4. So pop those off, 8 millimeter. And then we will get our disconnector disconnected up there. Then we'll get our drain pan, and there's a drain plug right there, and we're gonna drain it. You can see your transmission right here. Ours should be a 27009 or 2.7 or 2.9, whatever. But that's how you can identify your transmission right there. Okay, so once you get that cover guard removed, just inspect stuff. Maybe you need new oxygen sensors. They're all right here. T30 right here, and remove this plate, and it should just kind of wiggle out and pull down because there's a wire that connects up here. And once you pull that plate down, you can see the transmission connector right there. So you push down on the top right there and you pull it out. So push down on the top and pull it out. So it's definitely hard to get out. I pushed down on it with this finger, and I used my other hand with a screwdriver, kind of a longer screwdriver, and I pulled it back and it popped right out. So mine, honestly probably my problem, I have transmission fluid in my connectors. I don't believe that's normal. I'm gonna do a quick Google search, but that honestly might be causing my issues. Wet, oily connector. Okay, so I got it disconnected. I'm using this. It's an H6 6 millimeter, and I just popped it right loose. So mine's loose, and I'm just gonna hand loosen it. And I got my clean catch pan here, my clean pan, because I might, if I don't have enough fluid, I might need to reuse some of the old stuff. So I made sure this is clean, and I'm just gonna hand loosen that and watch the fluid come out. Oh, look how dark that is. Dang, that's crazy. That is dark. That is, it's supposed to be red, bro. This has 150,000 miles, and like I said, I don't think it's ever been serviced. And then once this finishes draining, we'll need a screwdriver or some sort of long skinny item to pop out a plastic plastic little tube. Okay, that was not me. And plastic tube, and then a bunch more fluid will come out. Okay, and once that's kind of finished, we're using kind of longer, skinny screwdriver. And there's a plastic tube. You just gotta pop it out of the way, whatever direction you can get it. See, I'm kind of getting it. You gotta knock it over. Okay, I think I got it. Yep, I got it. And all that goodness, that dark chocolate will come out. Okay, once you have that drained, keep in mind there is still quite a bit more fluid in here, okay? So keep in mind of that. This will be E10, and E10 will be removing these around the perimeter. I'm just gonna put the drain plug back in and wipe that up so it's not dripping on me. And I'm gonna undo all these, and I'm gonna leave probably these two in the middle so I can unscrew those later and drop it completely. So I'm removing the two at the front, towards the front of the engine first. So right there and right there. So there's 6 of these. I'm doing the 2 first. Then I'm gonna loosen the middle ones and loosen the back ones so I can lift the front down and have the fluid pour out into my pan. And then I can drain most of the fluid and then remove the back. So loosen these and then tilt the front down. Okay, that went really smoothly for me. I ended up taking off 4 of the bolts and leaving these back 2. And then I loosened them a lot, and I tilted the pan all the way down here, poured a ton of the fluid out, put it back up flat, loosened those 2, and then just pulled it right off. And then when I was done, still some fluid left in there, but that's how much is left. And then now I'm just letting the valve body drip into here. I'm gonna pull the filter off, and obviously more fluid's gonna come out. Once you have the filter pulled off, I just took a picture of it, just just so I can make sure I put it back the same way, everything's lined up the same. There's gonna be 10 of these silver bolts right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 6 over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 right here. Just on the end. Nothing in the middle, just on the edges. Here's what the screw looks like. You got 10 of these. I'm doing the middle ones first. I'm leaving 1 on each corner, and then I'll loosen the 1 on each corner 1 at a time. So just take out the middle ones first. That also went very smoothly for me. I got my lid over here. I just took it right off and I set it right on there. So there's the valve body. It looks pretty good. It looks clean up here. So a lot of people struggle with getting the connector out right there. I was able to just wiggle mine. I got both hands on it. I did these 2 screws last. And so all the other 4 were off. These 2 were last. And I was letting more fluid drain out. And then I unscrewed the 2, holding with this hand. And then I held them with both hands, and I just literally gave it a little wiggle and it popped right out. So that's all cleaned up, and now we got to replace the solenoids. Okay, so I got my valve body out of the car. I have it, like I said, on my little lid here. There's my pan filter. So that's what it looks like. I'm hoping, a lot of people have problems with the conductor plates. I'm hoping I do not have a problem with that. The code is reading that these 2 solenoids right here are bad. So I'm hoping it's just that, just those 2 solenoids. I'll also show you guys a little test we could do to make sure that these are bad, or see if they're even working. Or maybe it's the conductor plate. And I also had some fluid in my connector here. You can kind of see it. So maybe that's the problem as well. So there's a couple things we can try to tackle here. Whatever. This fell out from the bottom when I pulled it down. So I'll have to figure out where that goes when I flip it over, but it's just a little filter. You can see it's got some grime in there. So now, make sure your hands are clean, make sure your surface is clean, you don't get any debris in your transmission. These look like T30. So we got 8 solenoids, 4 T30 bolts. So as you are pulling these off, there's what the screw looks like. This goes like that. So those little prongs face down like so. And then there's your little connectors. There's your little solenoids. And they should just pull right out. And there's a little hole. So there we go. So like I said, we're getting codes for this one and this one being bad. This one's a V2 clutch or something. We got a code for that. And then this one's a torque converter clutch control solenoid. And that one's apparently had a check engine light on for that for a long time, like years. So hopefully it's just those two. But I will be replacing all 8. So I pulled the solenoids out, and a way to test them, I had my girlfriend help me. Since the battery's disconnected, you just put a black on the black and red on the red, and you touch either one. You touch them both to those 2 prongs. Either one, doesn't matter. And you should hear a loud click. It'll go. And we checked every single one. All 8 actually work, which sucks because now I think the problem is the conductor plate, and we do not have one of those. So I'll clean off those right there, so make sure they have a good connection. But I think we have a bad conductor plate, which is unfortunate. So we will have to order a new one, and I'll have to put it in 2 weeks or so and do this whole process over again. But that's how you would test the solenoids. Now I'm just going to throw the new ones back in. Online it says the torque spec for these bolts are 4 Newton meters, 4, and then plus 180 degrees. So another half spin like this. And that'll be all tight. Okay, so I just got mine put back in. It's definitely hard. Put them all in, tighten them all, kind of in a pattern so it all goes up evenly. Online also says that these are a torque spec of 4 Newton meters. So 4 Newton meters. Make sure everything's lined up. Make sure you got that lined up in the slot. That's on. Your filters are on. Your electrical connectors up in there. Because there's a lot of things to line up in here. It's definitely hard putting it back in. You kind of have to go at an angle up because you have to get the parts up there. So you kind of have to angle it up like that and then bring the backside up. So tighten those down and then we'll put on our oil filter. Okay, I was just tightening these down to 4 Newton meters. These 3 got to 4. My 2 corner ones didn't, and so I kept going, and it literally just snapped in half. So don't do 4 Newton meters, just do hand tight, a good snug hand tight with a smaller wrench, and that should be fine because that just snapped my bolt right in half. So don't do 4 Newton meters. Okay, here's the pan. I got it all cleaned out. There's the magnet. Everything's clean. This is the new overflow plug. It just snaps right in. I got my new seal on. Don't forget that, the new seal. I wiped off the surface. And the kit also comes with new pan bolts because these are supposedly one-time use. So, new pan bolts, and there's the filter up on there. So, I thought it was supposed to snap in somewhere on this side, but I couldn't find it anywhere. Like, I don't really like that, but I couldn't find out where it goes. So to fill the transmission, once you have your pan bolted in and all together, you will need this little adapter. It's called the CTA adapter. It just screws right into the drain plug. And then you need your fluid. And then this will just slide right up on there. And you'll pump in your fluid. But first, before we start filling, I just reconnected the connector right there. So it looks good. And then I'll put this little panel back on. Okay. So, here's your adapter. I'm gonna put in around 3.5 to 4 liters. And it says here on my thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 liters in this. I'm gonna do around 3.5 to 4, probably 3 to 4. And then once you put in that 3 to 4 liters, I'll probably start with 3. You can pull off your hose. And once your hose is off, you will have some liquid pour out. And then once that pours out a little bit and stops pouring out, I'm gonna reconnect the hose and then turn on the car and let it warm up. And then as it's warm, as it's up to temperature, then I'll add more and then it'll be full. So let me hook up my oil right now. So it's so tight down here, but I have my bottle starting out about 5 liters. And I got my connector. I'm gonna be pumping fluid right up in there. Pump, pump, pump away. And as you start adding your first bit of fluid, make sure you check around all the edges for any sort of leaks. So it's pumping up in there. So I'll probably stop around 2. And then I'll pull that hose off. And it should leak out a little bit and then stop. And then I'll reconnect the hose again. Okay, so I put in 3 liters. And then I hooked up the battery because I'm gonna get it warm now. And I pulled up, this is a Mercedes-Benz specific OBD2 scanner. Transmission, got away 5 degrees. So we'll go down to live data. This is a great easy scanner, Foxwell and NT510 Elite. It's really great. You can get them for BMWs, Toyotas, blah blah blah, all the cars. And we are going to maybe start operation. So we have our battery voltage, start enable transmission, actuator gear. Trying to find the transmission oil temperature right there. So we're trying to get to 45 degrees. Right there. So when this warms up to maybe like 35, I'm gonna put in another quart or another liter and then unhook the tube and then see if it's leaking out or not. So most people drive their cars after they filled up and get it warm and then they jack them back up and refill them. I'm just letting mine sit on the stands and run. So I'm at 32 degrees Celsius waiting for it to get to 45, I believe. So before, when I would put it in gear, maybe sport doesn't work. It would just clunk and would clunk hard. So now it's just smooth. Now it's smooth. So I hope we fix the problem. We'll see when we get it down and try to drive it. When this gets 35, I'm gonna put in some more oil. I'm shifting between gears, you know, to get the fluid moved around.